Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and today I've got some ZvZ. It's going to be two pretty well known Zerg players, two who I very much like, so let me get straight to the point and introduce them. In the lower right position, we've got the red Zerg. It is Spanishiwa. And his opponent up in the top left, the blue Zerg player, LzGaMeR. So, these two are spawning on Akelon Way. ZvZ is a very volatile matchup, so this could be short, it could be long. We could see Mutalisks. If it gets to the mid-game, we almost certainly will see Mutalisks, because that's what every Zerg player seems to be doing at the moment, because Mutalisks are good units. They are really solid, and any risks you have of going mutas are completely negated if you can get enough up, because then they just seem to wreck everything other than more or better upgraded mutalisks. One of the cool tricks though, and this is a knowledge bomb for you, that if you're a Zerg player and you struggle with ZvZ muta on muta and you seem to find your opponent always winning, the ground battle is also very important, because if you have Zerglings or roaches or whatever underneath your muta on muta fights, they will soak up some of the splash damage, and that is so important, so make sure you do that, because it's a cool little trick, and it isn't too hard to execute, especially if your opponent just pumps a lot of mutas and tries to engage head up with them and them alone. Also, counter-attacking is a good way to go as well with some link counter-attacks, so that could be things we're seeing. Also, in terms of openings, well, we've already got Spanishiwa getting his spawning pool down at 14, so it's a 14 pool up against what is going to be a 15 hatch from LZ, so different openings. As long as Spanishiwa does take his hatchery in the near future, it's not a huge problem. It just means that they're really quite minor differences, and Spanishiwa is indeed now about to go and move down. And Spanishiwa actually one of my favourite players ever, just due to things like his Ice Fisher build, which was so cool. I had so much fun playing that on ladder, and I just kind of wait. I really hope that he comes up with something just as awesome for Heart of the Swarm, because that would make me happy. I imagine that he'd quite favour something like Swarm Host, to be honest. Purely basing that on the fact that Swarm Hosts are kind of like a slow macro up, besiege your opponent, which seems to be what Spanishiwa liked in his Ice Fisher build, so that's obviously something to keep an eye out for. Meanwhile, we've got LZ, he went hatch, pool, gas, so really just going to get out very early speed. Spanishiwa not yet started any gas, and therefore will be a bit behind in terms of tech, but he's obviously got his spawning pool out a lot sooner, which means he gets a queen sooner. A quick little inject means a couple more lava earlier on, but LZ with his hatchery sooner will obviously have a slightly better economy. So these two still being very passive for the time being, but that can change very quickly, as we all should know in ZvZ. 1 minute it looks all drones, the next minute there's a flood of speedlings charging into your natural base, and you forgot your baneling nest, and that's when you have sad times, sad bad times, and you never ever want sad bad times, because they make you a sad bad panda. I don't know what it is with me and sad pandas, but pandas always look so sad to me. They just, poor pandas. Anyway, back to the point. Queen transferring down, drones are coming out. 6 Zerglings though for Spanishiwa. 6 Zerglings at this stage is 6 more than LZ has. LZ hasn't even thought about Zerglings yet. He's just like, select my hatchery, select my lava, and press D. And that's all I'm going to do, and then select my queens, and inject my hatcheries, make some more drones, make some more injects, drones, injects, drones, injects. And then Spanishiwa had to go and ruin his party by making Zerglings. And LZ, he was just going to be a pacifist this game. He was just going to get all of the drones up. Now being forced, though, to make a couple of Zerglings. Doesn't need as many as Spanishiwa, just due to the fact that he's got the defender's advantage. He's got queens there. He's got a spine crawler on its way. That's all good news for him. The queen does need to be a little bit careful. The second queen also on its way down. Spanishiwa up to 3 queens. Has a 4th now just popped out. So it's queen heavy style that he was known for. These Zerglings for LZ, though, for Spanishiwa, will be able to get a couple of drone kills. Albeit just 2, so not really worth the amount of lava he used to make them. By 1, if he got 3 it would have leveled out, but still this is all looking fairly happy. Spine Crawler now also on his way down for Spanishiwa. LZ getting his 1-1 upgrades from melee, going really heavy on the Zerglings most likely. Speed though hasn't been started, and that's quite interesting because a lot of Zerg players do rush out speed. Spanishiwa has his first 2 gas mining away quite happily at the moment, also got an evolution chamber coming down, so we'll wait to see what he uses that for, using the queens and that spine in order to poke down at those unbuildable rocks. And that just means that, yeah, this is still looking to be a very passive game at the moment. We're 6 minutes in, neither player's built a baneling nest, neither player's really committed to getting out any sort of large chunks of Zerglings. The 1-1 upgrades, of course, are going to be advantageous for LZ. The +1 carapace only for Spanishiwa does suggest that he may be looking at going for some kind of Ling Roach push, especially with the lair on its way down. That's a real big indicator that he may be wanting to get Roach speed. So we'll keep an eye out for that. LZ finally starting his Zergling speed. We've got the 3rd and 4th gas also on their way out for LZ. And I just cannot believe how passive these two are being. ZvZ and Heart of the Swarm as a whole has been a very aggressive harassment style game. So these two just macroing it up. They've got good overlord placement. That's another worthwhile thing to note, is overlord placement incredibly important in ZvZ, just to know the attack paths of your opponent and where they could go. I'd say that actually Spanishiwa's got slightly better placement, covering all the possible ways through, just in case they were trying to really block it out, whereas LZ, not quite as good a vision. There's a lot of ways that Spanishiwa could sneak some Zerglings through, so we'll keep an eye out for that in case he does try and do anything along those roads. The Roach now on its way down. We've also got Lair nearly finished, 4 gas. This is really looking quite fun. LZ, he is getting a macro hatchery. It hasn't started his Lair yet, does have 1-1 done, and has pulled all of his drones out of gas. Started a 3rd hatchery as well as that macro hatch, so really going quite economically focused, but a lot of Roaches are in production. But the Roaches with just +1 carapace will have trouble, but +1 carapace was actually cancelled here, and therefore Spanishiwa, he's going for +1 missile attack, a big Roach push, but the Zerglings on their way over. LZ, he's in a nice spot here. We also see that the Overlords are spreading that creep highway, ready to go. The Roaches will block off the entrance to the main, so no Zergling run-bys, but this does reveal to LZ that Spanishiwa is planning a lot of Roaches, and that is something that he can react with, only really by pumping a lot more Speedlings of his own. And actually, if you engage Roaches relatively well, you can do really nicely with the 1-1 Zerglings, because they can do a lot of damage, and especially if they engage when there's a lot of surface area on the Roaches, as opposed to when they are all clumped up, you can do very nicely indeed. Now this creep highway is okay, could be a bit better. The Queen's even coming with this. One Queen getting caught out of position though, and that's going to be a bit of a pain for Spanishiwa. He wants to keep as many of those up as possible. The energy banked up on them, allowing him to get a lot of transfuses off on these Roaches. LZ knows that a lot of big push is coming in, so starts a lot of Spine Callers while going for a big Zergling counter push, and is going to be able to deal quite a large sum of damage. But reinforcements coming in for Spanishiwa as well should help him hold off. The Spine Caller's not quite done yet for LZ, and that's what he really so desperately needs. 1 getting taken out, 2 getting taken out. Meanwhile, we've got the Zerglings attacking down here for LZ. Spanishiwa just rallying his Roaches for the attack, and this could be very close, but LZ does now have a decent amount of Spine Callers up, with the Queens helping with those transfuses, really allowing Spanishiwa's push to be very effective, and this is something you don't often see the Queens being brought with this kind of timing push. But LZ has taken out a lot of those Roaches. A Burrow coming down as well now. This just means that, well, with no detection, Spanishiwa can just bide his time. He can make sure that it's all looking good, but his natural hatchery is going to die very shortly, and that in itself is a big problem for production. The reinforcements coming in. LZ buying himself some more time just to get more Zerglings, and as long as he leaves them around here, picks off reinforcements, well, guess what? Every time these Roaches unburrow, he's going to be running straight in there, and of course now we see the damage starting to get done, and there's the GG from Spanishiwa, having lost his natural, and with Zerglings just clearing out his attack, then that should be absolutely fine. So well done to him there. I hope you enjoyed the cast. If you did, make sure you like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe. A bit of a funky strategy there, and I'll see each and every one of you tomorrow for my daily pro cast. So yeah, catch you all tomorrow. I'm Madals, thanks for watching.